What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Plakata Nation, and I'm joined by mi primo querido from the Bronx, as always, Cuz
You
Rod.
know
What's going on, my man?
what is up? What is up? Plakata Nation podcast people. We're here. We're here to give you the up to date news. And let's jump right in.
Let's
Carlos,
do it. I'm ready to go,
20,
babe.
2023, bro. We're going to get some new rule changes. This is looking
Yes.
wild, man. This is looking like this is going to be a whole new ball game for players and for fans and for managers. Let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
I know you have talked about this in the past, bro. Looks like that shift is going bye bye. Give me your
Yeah, man.
thoughts on this, man. This is wild.
Yes, and at first glance, I'm a little bit upset. I'm like, okay, now you want to get rid of the shift after I'm done playing? Let me tell you this. I have to preface this whole entire, uh, well, it's a hate relationship with the shift. I was going to
Yeah,
say love and hate relationship. Actually, there is no love whatsoever. This is all hate. For me, it was extremely difficult, Rod. I mean, when they
right.
started shifting me, they took away that hole between the first baseman and the second baseman, that hole that was traditionally there for me. And if you
Yeah,
think about it, in a 500 at bat season, every base hit is 2 points.
yeah.
So, you know, 15 hits that would have been were not anymore. 15, that's 30 points in your batting
It's a
average
lot.
on a season where you take 500 official plate appearances, or
Yeah,
actually at bats, right? At bats. Think about it. That's the difference between 230 and 260. The difference between
yeah,
270 and 300. And it's simply because of the way the defense was positioned. Now, I must say this: this shift, it's going to help certain type of hitters, and I was one of them. We create certain angles when we swing,
yeah,
and it's really hard for us to, since we've been grooving that swing since we were young, for us to change the way that swing has been ingrained throughout the years. Now I understand that it was because of these angles that I was producing top spin ground balls on the pull side, and the shift worked against me. I
yeah.
figured out later on in my career, unfortunately, towards the end of my career, that I could change the angle of my body and I could increase my chances of actually beating the shift and hitting the ball on the ground the other way. So
Right.
it's going to help for certain type of hitters. I'm thinking of a Joey Gallo.
I
I'm
was thinking the
thinking,
same
yeah,
thing. I was thinking the same thing. He was a guy that this is gonna benefit him a lot. I think like especially me, I've seen the Yankees play. Gallo was here. He had a really really tough time.
yeah.
I felt bad for the guy because you could tell he was pressing. He really wanted to do well, and by pressing, he just struck out more. And you see how the shift was just—it was literally a wall. He was literally like hitting into a wall, and nothing was going through. But you were talking about the points in terms of batting averages. So I'm assuming we're gonna see batting averages across the league. I mean, jump up big time. So we might be seeing some of those old school numbers from the 90s and early 2000s. When we see guys, a majority of guys maybe hit 300 or more, as opposed to how it's been lately in baseball.
Well, the reason why I said that it was going to help a certain kind of hitters is because the shift also produced a lot of people being out of position, balls that were hit into places that maybe fielders were not comfortable there and they couldn't make the play. There were a lot of
Mhm.
broken bats, hits the other way that you're like, okay, what happened there? Man, if they were just playing straight up, that would have been an out. So even though the shift has most definitely taken away a lot of hits, it has also given way to other types of hits. So I'm curious to see what the numbers are going to say. It's actually not going to help as much as we think in
Ah,
general, but
right.
there's a specific group that's going to be helped
Yeah.
tremendously. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm looking at
Yeah.
guys like Anthony Rizzo. You see that batting average be lower. I know he's a better hitter than that. But
Yeah.
because of the shift, every single time, Rod, that a left-handed hitter goes up to the pitch and kind of collapses a little bit and tops the ball, even though they
Yeah.
have extreme exit velocities, there is just too many people playing in the right
On both.
side of the
Yeah.
field, and it's a close throw to first base. Everything
Yeah.
is working against those type of hitters, specifically left-handed. We could talk about Albert Pujols. What that did to his batting average when he went over to Anaheim. They started shifting him. They had a bunch of people playing on the
Yeah.
left side. There were so many hits that were taken away in that hole.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best, Rod, at
Yes, he is.
manipulating the bat and even beating the shift on purpose. And even he got hurt towards, well, not towards the end of his career, but towards, when he was in that huge contract with the Anaheim Angels. You saw the batting average start to dip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it remains to be seen. I just think it's going to help certain players for sure. Overall, in general, the
Right.
league may not see that huge of a difference in increase in base hits um,
Right.
as we think. But those left-handed hitters that collapse a little bit, that are power hitters and are topping balls on the ground, those guys are going to get a ton of hits back.
Do you see this benefiting like a guy like Bryce Harper?
Oh yeah, I mean, Bryce hits a lot of balls into that shift, as well. And
Mhm.
again, we're talking about really, really good hitters. And I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you precisely what the mechanical flaw, let's say, that produces those top spinners on the ground, on the pull side. It's when you attack a baseball and you feel like you're being rushed. Maybe you're slightly late. And what you do is you collapse slightly backwards, trying to create space. Well, that sends the barrel up and you
Yeah.
tend to top the ball. You hit the top of the ball. And what you see
Hmm.
is this high exit velocities, like absolute rockets. But because of defensive shifts, there is no way for it to get through. It's difficult for it to get through. It just doesn't have enough space there. So
It's
that's where you
funny
get
you
this.
say
It's
that.
confusing. You're like, wow, great exit velocities. This guy's crushing the baseball. His batting average is,
Yeah.
220. Well, it
Yeah.
doesn't reflect how hard he's hitting the ball. So that's what I was against. I want hitters to get rewarded for hard hit baseballs.
Yes.
And these lefties were getting crushed. These types of lefties were getting
Mhm.
crushed.
It's funny you say that because with Rizzo, when I was seeing a lot of these Yankee games this year, the exact thing you said about him topping and then the swing going up, the minute you said that, I could just think about Rizzo at bats where he was doing that. And we know Anthony Rizzo is Anthony Rizzo. The guy can hit, you know what I mean? So to see his average be 223, 220, 219, I'm like, that's not Anthony Rizzo's game. The guy can hit, you know, he could hit for a higher average. So it'd be interesting to see, you're right, how the shift affects hitters. And then obviously, I know, we talk about business side of it. This is going to affect contracts because, if you tell me that you got a guy like Gallo or Rizzo, you know what I mean, guys who are kind of looking. Well, Rizzo just signed a contract; he just re-upped for 2 years, but Gallo's kind of looking for a contract. If Gallo has a decent year next year, or maybe he puts up his points in terms of hitting for average, that could spell well for him come contract time when he's asking for a contract.
Rod, I'll tell you this, man. I remember going into a meeting after the season with Joe Madden and Andrew Friedman with the Rays, and they were saying, "Hey, do not be discouraged. I know that your batting average is not where you want it to be, but you led the league in hard hit contact." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Are you gonna pay me on hard hit contact?" Because that's the thing. Like, and the answer is like, no, that would be
No.
used against me. Even though we know that our number one goal as a hitter is to hit the ball hard. That's the way it's
Yes.
been ever since we were 3 years old in the backyard. So
Yeah.
the great thing is that I think it's going to be more. Let's see, from the fan perspective. Let's
Yeah.
forget the player's perspective. It's going to be a better game because guys are going to be playing in position, not out of bounds. Like I usually
Right.
complain, look, this guy's playing out of bounds. You know,
Yeah.
and there's going to be more defensive plays, a lot more action instead
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
boring, everybody on right field. And I
It was
would come
very
up to the
ugly.
plate. I didn't like
It
that.
was
I hated the way
ugly.
it
It was
looked. It was
ugly.
ugly looking. I'll tell you
It
that.
was
You're absolutely
ugly.
right. And I'll tell this.
Yeah.
When I went up to bat, this is what I felt. It's like, my goodness, okay, I know that I'm not that good going the other way on the ground. I can hit in the air to the other
Yeah.
way, but on the ground is tough because of the angles I create. And then I look to right field. I'm like, wow, the only base hit that I have here is if I hit it over the wall. Are you kidding me? So that just tells you right
Wow.
there that how difficult it was to come up to the plate and see that defensive shift. But
Yeah.
as a fan,
Yeah.
I think it's going to force action. A lot more defensive plays. It's just
Yes.
a prettier game, a nicer game
Yeah,
with
it
it.
is. And in our sport, baseball, people for some reason people tend to discredit the athleticism that takes to play baseball. And I do believe you're right. We're going to see a lot more action around, shortstop, second base, especially. We're going to get to see these awesome plays again because we got some really great defensive infielders that that these styles of play in terms of the shift has taken away from them. So I think we, as fans watching the game, I think we're definitely going to enjoy it. We're going to
Hmm.
put an emphasis on web gems again because that's something that I
Remember
feel
that?
like I don't know. Growing up, I mean, think about it. We would watch baseball tonight, and it was about It was two things on baseball tonight. It was the gone segment, and then the web gems. The web gems were beautiful. You know what I remember? I remember you and I and Vladi, your brother, there was a play. It was a Roberto Alomar play where he was with the then Cleveland Indians, and he did a play where it looked like the ball went right by him, and the announcer was like, "Oh my God, it's went right by!" And then he turned around and threw the ball. I'm like, and we were nuts. We're like, how in the heck did he make that play? Same thing with a Roberto Alomar.
Oh,
Same thing
yeah.
with like Derek Jeter making plays. Same thing with a Noma Garcia Parra making plays. Like these are things that are just amazing, and I do feel like we don't get that as much on a nightly basis. Recently, but now hopefully we get more of that, and that makes the game exciting to watch, whether you're watching it at the stadium or you're watching it at home. The more eyes the game can get because of things that are not just home runs, I think it's a better thing for the game in general.
Yeah, man. Look, I can go on the shift all day because it really. I am so passionate about this shift. Just pretty much
Yeah.
giving me all this gray hair, that I have right now. So let's just move on to the next
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah,
And look, we, the bigger bases. I'll be quick on this one.
yeah,
The bigger bases is going to be pretty cool. They're going from 15 square inches to 18 square inches. They're it's a shorter path for runners, but
yeah.
most important thing here is safety. We're going to see less collisions, and hey, maybe we want these stars on the field. We want these stars
Yes,
on
we
the
do.
field. We want to prevent unnecessary accidents. So this I think is going to have a great impact on
Quickly,
that.
Carlos, are there going to be more stolen bases because of this? You think?
Well, we need to move to the next. We got to get to the pitch timer because yes, I
Yeah.
don't
Yep.
because I love that you said that because it's a perfect segue, right? So we got the bigger bases. It's
Yes.
the shorter path. Runners are going to be able to slide and have more access to safe territory when they
Right.
touch the base. Um, and
Right.
then we're going to combine it with this pitch clock, pitch timer, officially called
Yes.
15 seconds when the bases are empty, 20 seconds with runners on base. Now think about this. If I'm a runner, we always steal off the pitcher. Remember, we don't steal off the catcher. We steal off the pitcher.
Off the
If the
pitcher. Yeah.
pitcher is slow to the plate, we can steal. Like I would be able to steal, and I knew which pitchers I could do it on depending on how quick they were to the plate, and I wasn't
Hmm.
a base stealer. When you're thinking about the 20 seconds with runners on base, it does kind of give you an advantage as a runner to say he has to go home, you know. But the coolest thing about this all is that the pitcher can only disengage the mound twice per at bat. So he can only throw the first rod twice per at
Wow.
bat. If he throws a third time, he better get him out, or it's an automatic go to second base.
Oh
So
man.
100%, 100%, we're gonna see a lot more stolen bases. I wouldn't be
Wow.
surprised if we get back to those times where you have 60 plus stolen bases,
Wow.
70, 100. Why? Because guys are going to be so much more aggressive on the bases because of this combination.
We might be seeing some numbers. Maybe we might be seeing 30-30 guys show up again in baseball. That might be a thing after this whole thing starts up.
Well, why not take advantage of the opportunity, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's right there, and so
Yes.
I really like what MLB is doing.
Yeah.
Trying to just be proactive about trying to bring a better product to the field, not make it. They're forcing action, Rod. And as a fan, you want action.
Yes.
You don't
You
want to sit
want that,
around
yeah.
and see a guy
Oh,
throw to first base 5, 7 times, and you're like,
yeah,
come on, man, throw home. A lot of these guys
yeah,
used to throw to first base just because they needed a breather, and they were confused
yes.
as to when to throw to home plate. One last thing I'll say about the rule changes: the pitch timer, man, is advantage pitcher 100%. Think about
Mm,
this. It takes for a hitter to be able to erase the previous pitch or the effect of the previous pitch around 18 to 20 seconds if you're intentional about it. There's a
wow.
there's a neurological imprint that is made in your mind, a visual hold as well that pitchers are going to be able to use to their advantage if they are smart. They can. So if you throw me a changeup, and in my mind, I'm like, wow, I was ahead of it. I have to stay back. Come on, slow it down, slow it down. I mean, and you throw a pitch right away within 15 seconds, that slowed down mindset is going to
Yeah,
be there. So when you throw the fastball, the propensity of me being late on it is greater. So watch out for
right.
that. I'm really curious to see
The
how much better
the
pitchers will
timer
be.
the
Yes.
timer's gonna get in guys' heads. It really is, especially like you said, hitters that kind of know what they're doing up there. But at the same time, if you have a pitcher that's smart, that knows how to outsmart the hitter, they'll figure that out. Especially when you get a guy like a Nestor Cortez who does the movement thing, or Johnny Cueto who does the same thing. That's gonna play a big part. And you're right, that is gonna be an advantage. Now, real quick before we get off of this, the other thing that we talked about was the hitter. The hitter, I believe, gets 8 seconds to get back into the batter's box. I believe isn't that correct, Carlos?
Yeah, man, that's too fast, bro. Like if you ask me, this is the way it's gonna go. If the clock has 8 seconds left, right? If the timer has 8 seconds left, you better be in the box.
Oof.
Again, the hitter is gonna feel rushed, and I know for me, man, that was horrible. I used to take my time. As a matter of fact, I
Yeah.
think this rule, entire thing about getting back in the box, was created because of me. Like, man, this guy takes the whole entire day. It's like, hey man, it's my at bat. I do whatever I want with it. So yeah, so it's gonna
Carlos,
mess with some hitters.
Carlos gets out, takes out his phone, starts texting. Hey,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
I used to
get the
kill.
food ready. Da da da. Yeah, comes out. Da, da, comes out. Hey, starts reading a passage from Greatest Salesman of the World. Goes back to the batter's
Oh, but
box.
even, but even, brother, but even, take my time. It's my AB, not yours. And I used to
Oh
dominate
my
that. I
god,
used to try to
that's
dominate.
funny. That's
But
funny. That's funny.
Rod, we got a question of the day. It's coming from
Yeah.
Minnesota, right? I mean, let's go to it.
Yes, coming from we have a question today from Pedro from Minnesota. He says, Carlos, I play first base for my high school team, but I've been having trouble scooping up the ball in front of me. What do I do to get better at that? What advice can you do to help me out?
All right, man. Thank you so much for the question, Pedro. Look, obviously preparation, preparation. And I'm going to tell you a couple things. There's a couple drills that you could obviously do, and I'll make sure that through, if you wrote into our IG, I'll send you some of these drills. But there are some scooping drills, and the idea is you want to make sure that you're out in front, right? Out in front and picking the ball out in front at all times and not waiting back for the long hop. Try to get that short hop out in front. So when I say preparation, I say that in two ways. One of them is this: you have to go out there and practice, right? So repetition,
Right,
repetition, backhand, forehand, out in front at all the times, trying to get that short hop. However, when I say preparation, I also mean I need you to expect the bad throw. Expect the bad throw. See, bad first basemen go out there. There's a ground ball. They go to first base. They stand on first base, and they're like, okay, expecting the throw. They're expecting a good throw. I'm
right,
expecting to throw right at my chest. Wrong. And then they're surprised when there's something on the dirt. I'm like, oh man, it's on the dirt. And now you're not ready. You're not prepared. So when you play first base, you have to do the opposite. You have to be expecting the bad throw and be surprised by a good one. You got to be like, come on,
yes,
throw. You got to want the bad throw. And that's part of preparation. And then be pleasantly surprised when the ball is thrown right at your chest. Okay,
right,
so that's what I'm talking about preparation. So I'm going to send Pedro some of the drills that I used to do, and I'll answer through IG, and I'll do that. But for the listeners and viewers out there, it's trying to scoop that ball out in front and not let it get too deep. You want to get the short hop out in front, and always that wrist angle. You want that wrist angle to be able to smother the ball out in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, I saw Anthony Rizzo this year, the difference in
oh, he was
terms of
good.
how
Yeah.
he prevented I don't know how many errors, scooping up balls. And you're right, you could tell it is about being prepared for the bad throw more than it is expecting a solid throw to your chest.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's getting ready.
Yeah, man. It's so key, and it's changed my career defensively when I started doing that. And I learned that early on. Early on when I got to the big leagues, I didn't even get nervous when I went up to bat. But my goodness, when I
Right.
got to the big leagues defensively, I got nervous. And I talked to Harvey Dorfman. Okay, Harvey Dorfman was the first, sports psychologist, to be out there in baseball, just a pioneer. May he rest in peace. He passed a few years ago. Look, man, he told me you have to be ready for the worst. And then when something happens, it's like, oh, this is actually better than I expected.
Yeah.
And that mentality really helped me become a real good defender. I was able to win a Gold Glove in 2008. I should say, humility aside, I should have had more Gold Gloves.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah, that
but
was
you
one
know,
of the things they always said about you. They said that you were a really good hitter, but your glove was the thing that really made you shine, and it's true.
well, I appreciate it. I took a lot of pride. So for Pedro, preparation, man, preparation. You have to go out there and practice. Smother those balls out in front. I'll send you some drills via IG. We're gonna do more of that too, even
Yeah,
here. See if we can post some of these things out there so that you guys can benefit from it. And the preparation of mind, right? You have to be prepared with, which immediately leads me to the quote of the day, Rod. The quote of the day.
yes,
This is excellent, man. I'm glad that Pedro asked the question because this gives us a great introduction to a quote that's attributed to Roman philosopher Seneca. He says that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Think about that.
right.
Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. That is absolutely awesome. Sometimes, I'm pretty sure Pedro picked some balls. You're like, oh my God, that was lucky. But no, things like that happen because you've been preparing. So when the opportunity presents itself, you seize it. You seize it.
Right.
I hate it when we rely, man. I'm just, my luck. I don't have good luck. I don't have. Let's prepare in
Yes.
everything we do, okay? Because opportunity will present itself at some point or another. Doors will open, and we have to be ready to seize those opportunities. The only way to be ready is preparing on a daily basis. You prepare, you prepare, you prepare. You don't see opportunities. You don't see a door open anywhere. You don't see which way the thing that you want to happen will happen, but you're still preparing, you're still working, you're still studying, you're still getting education, you're still taking this course, you're still reading this book, you're still exercising, you're still working out. And you're like, I don't see where this is going to work, how it's going to work. But one day, when that door opens, you better be ready. And the only
Yeah.
thing that will define the outcome is if you're prepared or not. Do not
Right.
get caught, without being ready. And one of my buddies jokingly says, "Hey, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready." Absolutely. So preparation,
That's
Rod.
awesome. I
Preparation.
mean, that quote, and it's fitting with, especially with the question from Pedro about, and what you said too about it's being prepared for the bad throw, the errant throw. And I think I liken it to, like, I'm a space guy. I love space stuff and astronauts and all that. And in NASA they train astronauts for everything. So you may be an engineer, but they'll train you how to be a pilot. They'll train you to do all these things because in NASA the mentality is we're going to prepare the astronaut for every type of duty that's there. Because think about it, when you're in space, it's just you and maybe three other astronauts. You know what I mean? It's not like you're. It's not like if you can call the tow truck, hey, listen, my spaceship is down, you got to come and get me. No, no, no. You're gonna have to go outside and do the repairs yourself. So it's all about, like you said, preparation. You have to be prepared, and this goes for every aspect in life, whether you're in school, whether you're at work, whether you're even at home. It's about preparing yourself. And it's not to say that we're hoping bad things happen. Of course not. When we're at first base, we hope that throw comes to our chest, but we
Yeah.
should also be prepared to scoop that ball, pick it out of the dirt, because there's a high likelihood that it probably will. So I definitely think that that quote of the day is super fitting with, I think, the overall topic that we went with today, rule changes. And it is about now players preparing themselves mentally and physically for what's to come next year, because I think this is going to be exciting. This could be one of the big
Oh
things
yeah.
that could
Oh yeah.
draw more eyeballs to watching the game of baseball.
I'm pumped up about it, Rod.
Yeah.
And I do
Yes, I
remember
am.
you being you used to love astronauts when you were younger. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but hey, man, awesome show today. Thank you so much for
Definitely.
joining us, and we cannot wait to have you once again for our next episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was edifying for you and fun. So, thanks for joining us, and until next time, here on Plakata Nation, we look forward to it. Peace.
Plakata
Plakata.
Nation out. Peace out. Let's go. Woo!